That was. Good evening, folks. Shout out to all of you that jumped on the stream this afternoon, this evening. Shout out to all the fathers out there. Shout out to you, man. Happy Father's Day to you. I trust that you've been getting your flowers today while you're still alive. I hope that you have. Because I will tell you, this is one of those, I don't know if you can call it holidays or just acknowledgement dates. I don't know what to call it, really. But I will tell you, it's probably one of the most overlooked, quote-unquote, holidays there is. What I find is that women get more acknowledgement for Mother's Day than most men get for Father's Day. And I believe that's indicative of the delusion of the society, because I don't know about you, but I've never seen a child or a life being born without the agency of a father. I mean, we can give acknowledgement more to Mother's Day all we want, but truth be told, folks, a father had to be present. A man had to be present for that to happen. So again, salute to all of you fathers. And my salute goes more so to the men that actually have been in their children's lives. I will be honest with you. Guys, I'll have to be honest with you. I don't know how really to support those of you who, shoot up the club and leave the bodies on the ground in the club, I don't know how to really support that. I will tell you this. I don't support that. I support men who take responsibility for their children, to be honest with you. Irregardless of whether you and the mother find yourselves unable to stay together or not. That's besides the point. It really is. It's besides the point, and it has nothing to do with the children that we produce. But what I want to do today, as opposed to focus on the negatives of fatherhood where we are concerned as men, what I want to do today is I want to salute the men who are fathers, because this today represents Father's Day. So again, salute to all the soldiers, all the men, all the real fathers that are out there that have done your very best to be in your children's life, irregardless of any kind of detours and pushbacks that you may have received coming from the mother of your children. And I know, brothers, listen, I know. You don't have to tell me. You don't have to explain. Trust me. And I'm not here to say that you are not a great father, because I know there are some great fathers out there, man. And you have been given so much resistance from the mothers of your children. Oh, man, I know. You've been given so much pushback, so much resistance, so much has been done to hinder you from being the father that you could be, because of emotional trauma that the mothers of your children may perhaps be experiencing. So I get it, man. I'm on your side. I understand. But for those of you that have been the pump and dump brothers, yeah, I'm talking to you. You know the pump and dump brothers. You know the brothers that go into the club and shoot up the club and leave the bodies on the floor, never going back to take responsibility for the bodies that you left on the floor. Oh, I'm not talking to you. Today is not a happy Father's Day for you. No, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the brothers, the men, regardless of your nationality, that have done your job to the best of your ability to be fathers in your son's or in your daughter's life. To you, I say, salute, man. I salute you, because I know many of you did your best. I know many of you did your best. And what I would say is that for some of us that came up with fathers, we didn't always understand how they expressed their love. Sometimes men only know certain ways to express love, and to them, it's how they express love. It's their love language. For example, some of us had fathers that were very hard on us. I mean, they were very strict. And we, as young people, we perceived it as they didn't love us. We perceived it as, they're being too hard on us, or we didn't perceive it in the right way, but that was the way they showed us love. We didn't understand that the food that was left on the table for us to eat every day represented their love. We didn't understand that the fact that we had a roof over our head, irregardless of the dysfunction we may have had to experience in that household, we still found that the light stayed on. We still found that there was a roof still over our head. We didn't understand that still represented love. We didn't understand that the fact that we had clothes for school every year, that it represented love. We didn't understand. And we didn't understand that every time we had food in our lunchbox when we went to elementary school and beyond, that also represented love. We didn't know that when we needed certain monies for different programs or trips in school, where we needed a parent's signature, we didn't know that signature that we received from our parents and the monies that we received for the trips that we were going on in high school or middle school or elementary school represented love. We didn't know. We didn't understand that all of these actions represented love. We didn't realize that when we didn't see our father as often as we would like to have seen him because he was out working, doing hours and hours and hours of working, and we didn't see him, but we saw our mother more than we saw our father. And then when we did see him, he served as the disciplinarian for our misbehavior. And we, in turn, identified those reactions from our father as hatred, or he didn't love us, or he didn't like us. And we didn't really understand that this is how our fathers showed their love. In a lot of ways, and a lot of times, this is how they've only known it themselves. So many of us, regardless of our nationality, we didn't know what true fatherhood was, as identified through television. We watched TV and we saw the fathers playing with their children in the backyard, throwing the football or throwing the frisbee perhaps, or running back and forth throughout the park with the dog. We didn't realize that this was not necessarily a reality across the board, that there were so many dynamics, so many realities that were in place in the society that inhibited a man from being that picture perfect image that we saw on television. Perhaps our fathers drank too much. Perhaps our fathers maybe were involved in illicit drug activity. Perhaps our fathers were very verbally abusive. Maybe not so much physically abusive, but maybe they were a little verbally abusive. Maybe they didn't have the ability to, give us affirmations that many other fathers were able to give their children. Those positive affirmations that, son, don't worry, you can do it. Daughter, don't worry, no matter what anyone says, you can do it. We didn't have those affirmations. Many of us did not have those kind of affirmations that were given to us from our fathers. Many of us had fathers that had a difficulty and a challenge with simply giving us a hug and saying, I love you. All right? So we wanted to hear that I love you. We wanted to feel in the embrace that I love you, but we never received it. So not hearing it and not receiving it made us come to a conclusion again that our fathers really didn't love us. Because we could always count on mother to come to us when we scratched our knee. We could always count on mother to come to comfort us when we bumped our head, or when we fell off our bikes, or, when we were simply upset because someone stole one of our toys, or a friend of ours, disrespected us and made us feel sad. We could always count on mother to come to the rescue many times when the father was not present, but we yet yearned as a boy I'm talking about young men. We yet yearned for that same kind of connection that mother gave us, because women by nature are created to nurture. Women by nature are created to give comfort and consolation. Men are not really cut from that same rag. Men, more or less, are protectors, providers. We deal more in logic and non-emotional interaction. So a lot of times, young boys will misunderstand their own nature when they witness it through their father. So I just wanted to say that as a backdrop, but I want to dispel a few stereotypes as it relates to men in general, black men in particular, where it relates to fatherhood. And shout out to Maddie C. Thank you for getting on the stream tonight. Good evening, man. Good evening, and thank you so much for the happy Father's Day wishes. I appreciate you. Shout out to Gail Reed for getting on the stream tonight. Thank you for the happy Father's Day wish. And shout out again to all of you who watch this stream now while it's currently streaming live, and those of you that catch it after it's live streamed. I appreciate you. As you come into the building, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button, and also support the live stream, family, via Cash App, $, capital C, capital G, 4033. And with that being said, let's go. Let's get started. I want to first start talking about the truth about black fatherhood stereotypes as it relates to black fatherhood. And I believe this will transcend color lines. I believe this will go across the board to all fathers, because believe it or not, man, the way the system, the way the society is being functioned today, with the mindset of the modern woman as it relates to the children that she bears from the men who she finds herself intimately involved with. The mindset is very similar. It's the same across the board, regardless of ethnicity lines. It's the same. So we're going to touch on this. The stereotype of black fathers as absent and black children as fatherless, first introduced over 50 years ago, has, like many racial stereotypes, refused to die. In 1965, white socialist and Assistant Secretary of Labor Daniel Patrick Moynihan published a report called The Negro Family, the Case for National Action. This report claimed that increasing rates of out-of-wedlock births and single-mother homes among African Americans signaled the coming destruction of black families, and these trends were to blame for many of the issues facing the black community in America. The report has been roundly criticized by many race scholars. Today, around 70% of black children are born to parents who aren't married. 70%. Rates of out-of-wedlock births have, of course, increased among all races since 1965. The idea that racial disparities in education, employment, income, incarceration, more than can be blamed not in structural racism, but on this absence of black fathers, has been parroted by pundits and politicians alike. Even black public figures have shared these statistics. In 2008, President Barack Obama said during his Father's Day speech that more than half of all black children live in single-parent households. Children who's grown up without a father are 5 times more likely to live in poverty and commit crime, 9 times more likely to drop out of schools, and 20 times more likely to end up in prison. They are more likely to have behavioral problems or run away from home or become teenage parents themselves, and the foundations of our community are weaker because of it. This stereotype ignores clear evidence that black fathers are in fact more involved in their children's care and their lives than fathers of other races. Now, why is this expose important? Because all too often the stereotype is ran with. Very few reports are made as it relates to black men who are not only involved in their children's lives, in particular, black men and women, men in general, black men in particular, who are involved in their families' lives. But not only that, but very little reports are given and made available to men in general, black men in particular, who are literally single fathers with their children. You don't hear about this. No, not at all. What the society loves to promote is the fact that women are caring for children in the absence of a father. This is what they love to promote. And this is women in general, black women in particular, irregardless of ethnicity. This is the narrative that the society loves to push and promote. No doubt. But is this the facts? Are these the facts? And if these narratives continue, for those of you fathers who are out there as single fathers, again, I salute you, man. Irregardless of your ethnicity, there are black fathers that are single parents. There are Asian fathers that are single parents. There are white male fathers that are single parents. Guys, there are Japanese fathers that are single parents. There are Latino fathers that are single parents. You know, they deserve to get the recognition, and they deserve to get the flowers that they have so justly earned in doing what is considered by the society the impossible thing to do. That men are not responsible enough to take care of their own children by themselves. And I will tell you this, the stats, the data, and the statistics prove different. That men are better parents than most women. Oh yeah, this is what the facts, data, and statistics prove. Now, I know some of you ladies are saying, oh hell no, I know that's not true. Well, maybe for you in your circumstances, because your children are by Pookie or Nug Nug or Killer Mike. For you, I understand that position. I truly understand your position. If I were you in that same position, I would probably say the same thing. But the stats, data, and statistics prove you incorrect. Oh, they prove you incorrect so drastically. See, because there are many men out here that are taking care of their children who don't represent Pookie. and this goes across ethnic lines, regardless of their ethnicity. Black, white, brown, yellow, and red. They are taking care of their children, and they are, in fact, males who are single parents. Oh, yeah. They don't represent Pookie. They don't represent Nug Nug. They don't represent Killer Mike. They don't represent, they don't represent the guys that some of you ladies have had children by. And I'm not judging you, but I'm letting you know that you can't pass that kind of opinion off as if it's fact. There are so many men out here that are doing the damn thing. And I mean, there are great fathers, great examples for their children. For you, this is what this tonight's stream is for. I'm directing it to you. Oh yeah, man. There's some great fathers out here, man. And for those of you that are great fathers that are watching my stream, I want to let you know, man, you're getting your flowers tonight on this stream. You are appreciated. You are needed, and you are necessary, man. You are. And we are happy to know that there are men like you that are still in this society. Salute to you. Salute to you. Happy Father's Day to you, man. But we want to bust up some of the myths. This is what we want to do tonight. The truth. Black fathers and many fathers outside of the black community, like I said, all ethnicities are involved And they are more involved than we even realize, than what the society is willing to make publicly available. We want to shatter some of these BS myths that we hear today. We cannot equate the number of unmarried dads to the number of fatherless children. First of all, marriage rates don't necessarily reflect the number of black fathers living with their children, and this same number does not reflect all ethnicity groups. As writer Josh Letz points out, the majority of black dads, 2.5 million of around 4.2 million, do live with their kids, even if they're not married to their partner. See, they always leave that part out too. See, across ethnic lines, there are fathers that live with their children, but they're not married through government contractual agreement to the mother. So they kind of get dismissed under the radar. But let's continue. And second of all, according to a 2013 report by the CDC, black dads, whether they live with their children or not, are more actively involved in their children's lives than their counterparts of other races. The example, the CDC reports that black fathers who live with their children are more likely than fathers of other races to provide physical care, bathing, diapers, feed for their young children, read to their children, and help their children with their homework, all on a daily basis, than fathers of other races who also cohabit with their kids. Now, I will tell you this. Again, we know the negative sides of every situation, for sure. But what I want to make really clear tonight is that there are great fathers across the board on all sides. And I know for you men, of the most neglected holiday, or I should say day of observance out of any day of the year, Father's Day is probably the least observed day of the year. It's probably the least day that's held with the most importance out of any day of the year. I mean, we all know that when we have children and they become athletes or celebrities and they become successful, the first thing that happens when they get in front of that camera is, what do they say? They say, look, you can read my lips on this one. Watch this. I know you read my lips on that, right? But what you never hear is hi, dad. You rarely hear them give the praise to the father, who perhaps, in many cases, financed their whole entire college ride. The father financed the whole entire college ride, but you don't hear about that. All you hear is when the right, exactly. Shout out to Gail Reed. She said, "Hi, mom." That's exactly what you hear. That's exactly what you hear. But you usually don't hear hi, dad. So dad sits in the background in most cases for years, suffering in silence, suffering in complete silence, hurting for years and years and years, only to have to pretend to put on a smile. And yet for years they go in pain, feeling as if they've been neglected and pushed to the side, that they're not appreciated. Fathers, I know exactly what you're feeling, man. Because you financed your son's basketball career. You financed your son's or your daughter's college education. And this happens more so with sons than it does daughters. Daughters tend to acknowledge their father, and I guess we can understand that by way of the opposite sex, but sons tend to ignore their fathers. And you know what? I could say that it's a man thing. Yeah, maybe I could say that. And in some respects, that would be true, because men just simply, we express things differently than the average person. We truly do. We express things just differently. A lot of times it's not emotional with us. Men, we can hug our children and say, and smack our sons on the back of the head and say, get back out there, man. And hey, you can do it. Stop being soft. Stop being a little chump. And for us, that's a love language. We're saying, go ahead, son, we love you, I got you. You know, we may not see it that way, but daughters tend to show an emotional affection, and they tend to express themselves more emotionally. So I could say that it's a boy thing, but we cannot deny, as men who are fathers, we cannot deny that this is something that we have yearned for our whole entire lives. And then we've yearned for it not only as young men and as young teenagers, all the way up into our 30s and 40s. We've yearned for that thing that we could not describe, and we could not necessarily communicate with our fathers in such a way that they would understand clearly what exactly we were feeling. But we felt it, and we know we felt it. And it dug deep, and it cut deep inside of us, and we had no idea how to express it. But this is what we felt. And then we find ourselves as adults. And Father's Day comes along, and we now find ourselves, for those of us that have children, we find ourselves as fathers. And we find ourselves in turn being neglected with the appreciation, with the appreciation being expressed to us. So it's kind of like a reverse kind of behavior that we can't quite understand, you know? So I believe you needed streams, and I believe there should be streams like this, where I can let you know that I'm like you. I understand you, man. I see you, and I understand you. And I want to give you your flowers now, you know, because we only get 1 year out of the year. One time out of the year, in June, I think, right? This time of year, you know, where we get to acknowledge ourselves as fathers, if in fact the entire year we don't get to be acknowledged. For some of us, we don't get acknowledged. Some of us have been blessed with better families, stronger families, where we get acknowledged throughout the entire year. We just have good children, great families, wonderful wives, and wonderful daughters, and we get acknowledged all throughout the year. But this is not the normal thing. Most of us, most men, we don't get that kind of acknowledgement. We really don't get that kind of acknowledgement. So I just wanted to touch on that tonight, and to kind of break up and give some clarity to some of the things that I know are out here. You know, we could talk about a lot of things. Excuse me. We could talk about a lot of things, but until we can acknowledge the importance of fatherhood as it relates to the women that we father these children by, there is no real community. There are so many destroyed young men, so many destroyed young ladies right now because of two people that could not get their stuff together. That's it. The children are innocent, but because of two people that could not get their stuff together, the children are destroyed. And what I find all too disturbing today in the modern day society today, as I close, is that these children are left unprotected. Oh, they're left so unprotected. These children are alone by themselves in a wilderness, in a safari of confusion. They're left alone in a safari of confusion. Because now today, children don't know what direction to go. They don't know who to honor today. I'm talking about honoring fathers who are great fathers, but what will they be honoring later on going into the future? And I'm going to stay on subject, but I think you understand what I'm saying. What will they honor later? So again, shout out to all the great fathers out there. Shout out to all of you. Shout out to every sacrifice that you've made all this year. Shout out to every sacrifice that you've made last year and that you've made over the last 5 years or 10 years. And every sacrifice that you've made over the last 35 to 40 years and beyond. Salute to you, man. Salute to you, because you represent exactly what you were born in this earth to do. Salute to you. And I say again, as I close, that you are appreciated. You are necessary. Happy Father's Day. This has been another episode of Let's Talk About It Now. I am your host, Charles Chambliss. Thank you for getting on the stream tonight. Again, happy Father's Day to all of you. God bless.